Welcome to the Sacred Commerce series. The merchant priesthood started in Atlantis long time ago. But the first remnant of our history that we have in stone is during the Queen Hatshepsut in Egypt, 2,700 years ago. Queen Hatshepsut in Egypt was the first woman pharaoh to take power. And she took it against the will of her stepson, Thutmose III. She basically right away promoted the merchant priesthood to the highest level of government and demoted all the temple priests, were the demagogue priests and other kind of priests. And she asked them to open the trade route all over the country and to all other nations, and to start creating commerce and to build intimacy and connectedness between cultures and people. 27 years her reign was the most peaceful, not one drop of blood was shed, and it was all abundance created out of commerce to Egypt and to all the nations around. Come Thutmose III, after her stepson. He hated her with passion, destroyed everything has to do with the feminine, and went the path of war. He demoted all the merchant priests who went underground, and he brought back all the demagogue priests to support him, and basically destroy the country. The merchant priesthood, in secret, conspired to support the pharaoh after him, Thutmose IV, who is in the lineage of the merchant priesthood and who continuously supported the pharaohs after him, the grandfather of Akhenaten, all the way to Akhenaten himself. Akhenaten, as known in history with his queen Nefertiti, was the first pharaoh who was really the head of the merchant priesthood himself. He brought in the one God religion, not only demoted all the other priests, but he demoted all the other gods at the same time and said there is only one God, and started to bring back the feminine and the sacred in their religion. He imported all Cretan art that had to do with celebration and beauty, and versus the Egyptian mythology was always after death, you know, the life after death and so on. And the old priesthood did not obviously like him very much, and they conspired to basically kill him. And before they killed him, he passed on the knowledge and the mysteries of the merchant priesthood and sacred commerce to Moses, his chief vizier or advisor. Moses took that knowledge and passed it on to high-ranking Hebrew people in Egypt. That's when the Hebrew people prospered and became the commerce people and the merchants of our times. And the story goes on. The Ramses II, you know, had his own conflict with the Hebrew people and with Moses. Thus the Exodus stories. The Hebrew people left with all their gold and all their scrolls and all their secret and mastery, and they moved on to Israel. Along the way, in the Ark of Covenant, Moses put in the scrolls and the secret of the merchant priesthood and passed on to the lay people, to the lay person, a distilled version of it they called the Ten Commandments. This knowledge went all along to Jerusalem and the building of Israel and the Temple of Solomon. And the Ark of Covenant used to be activated by the priesthood at princes from time to time to build that, to create that resonance, to bring that sacredness and that energy into the temples. Years after, with the destruction of the temples and the birth of the Muslim religions and taking over that northern part of the Middle East, a group of knights, a group of lords in France, Guy de Payenne, one of the richest men in France, decided that he had kept a long enough secret, which is that has been carried from thousands of years, as told by the Da Vinci Code stories and many other historical books, that he really assumed and he thought and he believed that he was one of the descendants of Jesus. And he wanted to prove this, and he had a feeling, or he was convinced that the proofs would be in the scrolls in the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. And so he financed the first crusade, even convinced the first popes who started the crusade to go along with him. And once they got to Jerusalem, he right away, with his people, started to excavate the Mount Temp and to dig in and find the scrolls and the mysteries that hoped he would prove his being a descendant of Jesus Christ. But what happened very quickly, he divorced his wife, he became celibate, he gave all his money away, and having been impressed by the chivalry of the Muslim knights through fighting them, he basically developed a knighthood, the Knight Templar, who became basically the Knights of Commerce, took over the secrets of the merchant priesthood that they found in there, and they moved on with that, creating one of the biggest banking organizations, commercial activities, building half, if not most, of the cathedrals in Europe, bringing beauty all across Europe, and financing all the great projects that built the Renaissance and so on in Europe. So from the merchant priesthood, all of that knowledge passed on to the Knight Templar, the Knights of Commerce. What happened that they became so powerful, and they have bankrolled and financed all the kings, half the kings in Europe. The King of France, very angry with them not being able to repay their debts, conspired to kill them all in one big event party he had for them. A few of them, or many of them, were able to escape in their ships, and they escaped to Scotland. Most of them were supporting the King of Scotland and being free there to pursue their activities. They merged with what they call the Masons, or the Stone Masons. They became the Freemasons. That knowledge, which was a bit of similar to the Freemasons, basically followed and became into secret societies and secret organizations that carried all the way to America. As we know, many of the 19th of the signatory of the Constitution of America is being created by our founding father. Most of them were Freemasons. So this is the story how that knowledge, those secrets, came all the way from Egypt, from Atlantis to Egypt, all the way down to Jerusalem, to Europe, and back all the way to America to create the United States of America, which is one of the dreams of the merchant priesthood of a long time ago.